ignorance is bad, but what's worse is thinking that you have knowledge when you don't. Because you could be ignorant and say, hey, I'm ignorant. Hey, Ricardo Marcela is ignorant. True. And I said this to all my students. You know, I pick on you, I call on you, I bother you. I'm not smarter than you are. I don't have any knowledge. That's true. I want to help. That's why I bother you. That's a funny way of helping, right? It works. But to be sure, of course, we're ignorant. Martin Heidegger, the German philosopher, who was, it turns out he was a Nazi, right? But that's another kind of worms. You would never know by reading it. He famously wrote, man meaning human beings, right? Don't forget that when Armstrong lands on the moon and says, this is a small step for man, he means human being. Heidegger writes, man is a beginner. Man is always a beginner. Human beings are always beginning. Because it's our nature to be stupid, you know. Or ignorant. It is. There's always a problem. There's always something that needs to be resolved, and we have to think about how to solve. We don't know it. So it is part of our nature. Ignorance is a part of our essence. And Socrates and Plato understood this. However, Socrates and Plato did not accept that certain people did not accept, right, that they were ignorant. They had false beliefs in their heads masquerading as knowledge. When Socrates applies the so-called Socratic method to Euthyphro or to whomever, he does so in order to bring to light that those beliefs in that skull are false. They're not knowledge. They're imposters. By using the Socratic method, hopefully the interlocutor can become aware of the fact that these beliefs are not knowledge. And therefore, he, or usually back then it was he, will remove them. So the Socratic method is like a broom, the intention of which is to brush away these false beliefs. Because if Euthyphro thinks he has knowledge, then what is he never going to seek? Knowledge. If he thinks he has it, why is he going to seek it? So someone has to tell him, you don't have it, so that he, Euthyphro, and others will attempt to procure it. That is essentially what's going on with Socrates and the application of the Socratic method. Now, this is an ethics course, so you might think, what the hell does this have to do with ethics? Well, Socrates' questions are usually about a virtue. You know, what is piety, meaning holiness? In some other books he asks, what is courage? In some other dialogue he asks, what is justice? What is love? These are qualities we want. So that's the goal of the Socratic method, is to disabuse the know-it-all, as someone wrote here. The goal of the Socratic method is to disabuse the know-it-all of his or her false beliefs, because these false beliefs, which masquerade as knowledge, are simply roadblocks to true knowledge, if you will. That's basically it. Now, I'll say a few things about Plato. Plato, of course, was a young boy, and his brothers Glaucon and Adeimantus, as I told you, were following Socrates around, and they were writing down everything that Socrates was saying. So Plato is influenced or taught by Socrates. Now, one of the main differences between Socrates and Plato is that whereas Socrates was asking for the meanings of these terms, what is piety, what is justice, what is this, Plato also asking what these things were. Plato, in addition, believed that these things exist as ideas. So Socrates will ask you, what is justice? Plato will ask you, what is justice? But Plato believes that he's asking about an eternal idea that no one invented. Sometimes it's called a form. So that's essentially the difference between Socrates and Plato. Socrates is asking for the definitions of certain terms.
Hello?
Plato believes that these things exist as concepts. He doesn't say concept. They're not, but for now it's good. For Plato, they are eternal ideas. For Plato, there is an idea of justice that cannot be destroyed. It's supratemporal. According to Plato, there's the idea of love, there's the idea of freedom. And these ideas existed before human beings existed. Human beings didn't invent the idea of love. They did not invent the idea of justice. Those ideas already existed, even before human beings existed. So, again, that's the difference. Socrates is asking for the definitions of certain terms, usually ethical terms. Plato does this as well, but Plato's going to add, by the way, these concepts, they have absolute reality. And this is called, this philosophy that Plato advances is called Anterim Metaphysical Realism. So the idea of justice is metaphysically real. And it's anterem. What does that mean? It exists before the act of justice, right? There is an idea of justice in the Mahatma Gandhi believed this, Martin Luther King Jr. There are a lot of people who believe that there are eternal ideas, but Plato was the first one. For Plato, there are two worlds. There's the physical world. And the physical world is available to us via perception. You see it, you touch it, you smell it, whatever. The other world is the world of intelligence and knowledge. And it's the world of ideas and mathematical entities. And in this way, he establishes dualism in metaphysics. Right? But anyways, there's much more to that, but I think that's enough for now. Who am I? What's this? For the midterm, you need to know the dialogue between Socrates and Euthyphro in order. Hmm? Yeah?
Professor, do we need to know it verbatim, like word for word, or just summarized definition?
Verbatim is good, but if you want to know that you really understand it, try to put it into your own words. But also, so both.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't want to just repeat what I say. But it's good to know it verbatim. It's also good to put it into your own words. Apply it to your own situations and experiences. If you get an F on the midterm, you will be asked to withdraw. If you get an F on the midterm, you will be asked to withdraw. Sometimes I ask you to withdraw from the course, and when the grade is very low, I sometimes ask you to leave the city, to leave civilization. I've asked certain students to leave the city. Maybe it's better off for them to be in the forest with the trees and the raccoons. Some students should be in college. Some students should not be in college, and some people, certain individuals, should not be in a city with electricity and traffic lights. What would you do that? Hey, we're animals too, okay? We have a right to the forest too. So I might ask, if you get an F on the midterm, I might ask you to leave the city. The city's not for you. Maybe you can, what are those creatures that make the dams, the beavers? You can help the beavers. The beavers might teach you a thing or two about dams, let me tell you. Okay, let us go back to some logic here. It's so bright. They say that if bright lights affect you, you're depressed. Maybe I'm depressed. I don't know. What happened here? Okay. We'll talk about Aristotle in due course. Okay, so you know modus ponens and modus tollens. And by the way, if I do ask you to withdraw, I've asked students to withdraw from their course before, and they did. They took a remedial course in a remedial college course. I don't know what that's, but they took it. They came back, took my course, and got an A. So it works. Remedial courses or college prep courses, they do work. Who am I? Right. So you know modus ponens, you know modus tollens. Let me teach you a third form in logic called ampersand in. I hope you see the board. I hope you see the board. The and sign there is called an ampersand. Thanks, Megan. So the and sign is called an ampersand. If I say ampersand, I'm referring to and it's spelled like this. Ampersand. Now, what the hell is ampersand in? Well, ampersand in is another valid form. And I'll show you. This is so easy. It's ludicrous. Suppose I say, I love cars. Suppose. And then I say, I love motorcycles. Oops. Oops, can't spell. Ugh. What's wrong with me? There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about as silly, as obvious as it gets. What's wrong with me, people? Number one, I love cars. Number two, I love motorcycles. Therefore, I love cars and I love motorcycles. Does this really need to be explained? It's obvious, right? As they say, intuitive. This form is called ampersand in because you get to the conclusion by putting an ampersand in between premise one and premise two. I meant, no, it doesn't need, okay. I understood you. I understood you. So suppose I say, there's another example of ampersand in. I love wine. I don't love wine, but suppose. I love wine. I love songs. What was the thing? Wine, women, and song, right? They used to say that. Therefore, I love wine and I love songs. Oops. There's. These are assumptions. That's it. I work. Period. I go to school. Period. Therefore, I work and I go to school. I think dolphins and monkeys say, of course, right? And some other creature, perhaps. What else is there? Dogs. Cats aren't that intelligent. They're sleeping. Cats aren't that intelligent. I don't care. Yeah, I think dogs, monkeys, and dolphins, right? Those are the pigs too. I heard pigs are really intelligent. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, read my mind. Pigs, yeah. Some humans too. Oh, crows, really? I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know. The form ampersand in looks like this. And some logicians don't call it ampersand in. You know, you may come across this in certain books, has a different name. It doesn't really matter. Suppose I teach you math and I say this is subtraction. You learn it, and someone else says, no, it's not subtraction, it's taking away. Okay, whatever. So it doesn't matter. So the form for ampersand in is P, that's the assumption. Q, that's the second assumption. Therefore, P and Q. This is valid. This is a valid deductive argument. You may think, who gives a damn about this logic, right? Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I was talking to an economist. And I asked him, explain to me why applying price controls universally is a bad problem, is a problem. And he said to me, well, applying price controls universally is inconsistent with free market capitalism. I said, okay. So what? And he said, well, free capitalism, and by the way, I am a capitalist, but I wanted details. You know what I mean? If there is capitalism, he said, there is abundance, which I agree with. You don't have to, and I could be wrong, but you're missing the point. He said, if there is capitalism, there is abundance. Therefore, he said, if there is no capitalism, there's no abundance. What mistake did this economist make yesterday? Anyone? Not going to give you his name. Again, he said, if there is free capitalism, if there is a capitalist economy, there is abundance, he said. Then he said, if there is no capitalist economy, therefore there's no abundance. What mistake or which mistake did he make? Very good, Laura. Very good. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Yeah, he negated the antecedent instead of the consequent. These are people who make a lot of money. It sounds right. The guy's intelligent. He's wealthy. He must know what he's talking. No. Of course, you're right about that, Gushan. Of course, you're right. But lots of people don't know that. Some people are impressed. Right? What's the word? They are impressionable. Enamored, yeah. The right word is impressionable, but enamored is good too. I have nothing against capitalism, but defend it correctly. Okay, anyways, you now know modus ponens, you know ampersand in, and you know modus tollens. And Laura's just showing off. Laura's just showing off. This course is beneath me. That's what she says to people. This course is beneath me. Can you believe that? That hurts me. Laura hurts me. Okay. Yeah, these are all deductive arguments. And you know what, my dear students, I will only teach you one more, which is a universal instantiation. Not today, though, but I will teach you one more. Throughout the course, forms. In this course, you'll need to know only four forms. The good news is, if you take a logic course in college after this course, I'm sorry, in the university. I forget it says college sometimes. If you take a logic course in the university after this course, you'll know half of the material. Have a heads up. Now, I'm going to show you something that might scare you a little bit. Don't get scared. Sometimes. Okay. If you look at modus ponens, you see if P then Q, P therefore Q. If you look at ampersand in, you see number one P, number two Q, therefore P and Q. If you look at modus tollens, if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P. And you can use different symbols. Modus ponens. If A then B, A therefore B. That's fine too. Ampersand in, Q and R, therefore Q and R. Modus tollens, if Y then Z, not Z, therefore not Y. It doesn't have to be P's and Q's, right? Easy. Easy. Yes, on their own, these forms are easy. On their own, these forms are easy. You have two premises and a conclusion. Big deal, right? They all have two premises. But sometimes they come together. Not sometimes, lots of times, if not most of the time, they come together. You know how to add, I think, right? You know how to add 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 minus 4 equals 0. You know how to divide. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And you know how to multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. And so on and so forth. You know other things, I hope. However, you know just as well as I do that sometimes in a mathematics problem, you have to perform different operations. You might have to add and subtract. You might have to divide and multiply. For example, you might see this, right? Let's see. You might see this. Oh no, it's so complicated. I have to add and subtract, right? And sometimes you have to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And do the quadratic, and apply the quadratic equation, or what have you. Similarly, in logic, sometimes you just have modus ponens. Sometimes you just have ampersand in. Sometimes you just have modus tollens. Sometimes they all come together. And I'll show you. I think Agamemnon farted. Heard a weird sound. A disgusting creature. Maybe. They did eat, yeah. All right. So what do we have here? Well, Jasmine, are you there? Hello, Jasmine Colassa, I think it is, or
Yes,
did I help you earlier, Jasmine?
I think so.
Okay, I hope I did. I hope I did. It also depends on you. You know, the instructor can only meet you halfway. Okay, so let's look at this thing on the board. Jasmine and everyone else. Let's look at this thing on the board here. Oh no, we have 3 parentheses. Shit, what's this? I can't take it anymore. Too difficult. You'll see this sometime. If you read, right? If you read, you'll see this sometime. Number 1 says if P then Q. Number 2 says P. Number 3 says S, and the conclusion is Q and S. So maybe number 1 says if Paul steals from Mary, then Quincy is a pirate. Number 2, Paul steals from Mary. Number 3, S, Stacy is beautiful. Therefore, Quincy is a pirate and Stacy is beautiful. You can say whatever, plug whatever you want. Don't forget that, plug in whatever you want. Don't forget that these letters, these terms, they don't represent words, individual words. It's statements. Number 1, if Paul is dead, then Janie is hunting quail. Number 2, Paul is dead. Number 3, S, Sean is a guitarist. Therefore, Cheney is hunting quail. Did I get it? Cheney is hunting quail and Sean is a guitarist. Number 1, if Peter is dead, then Quincy is happy. Number 2, Peter is dead. Number 3, Stephanie is a demiurge. Therefore, Quincy is happy and Stephanie is a demiurge, right? Plug in whatever you want. Now, when you come across an argument, the first question you ask yourself is, does the conclusion follow from the premises? Don't forget, That's the first question you ask yourself when you come across an argument or a piece of reasoning. You don't ask yourself, what does this mean? You don't ask yourself, is this true or false? Rather, does the damn conclusion follow from the premises? Let's take a second break. I'll see you at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, you can think about whether or not this conclusion, namely Q and S, follows from 1 through 3. I'll see you in 15 minutes.